out here at the NFL Network. I'm Tatum Everett alongside NFL Media Draft Analyst Chad Reuter. And Chad, you've been doing this for 24 years now, 12 years for the NFL Network. And one of the coolest things about what you do is you go deep into the draft. I mean, we're talking 4th round this week, 5th round coming up. What do you love so much about diving in and kind of trying to figure out what teams are going to do in the upcoming NFL draft?
Well, it's really just a big puzzle, right? We all love to do puzzles of one kind or another. That's really all that this is. You're trying to match up team needs with the values of players at all different points of the draft. So it's really just a fun exercise, although by fun I mean hundreds of hours of work and spreadsheets and all kinds of stuff. But it's a special kind of fun, I like to call it.
Have you figured out the secret to the draft yet? Like who's right, who's wrong?
Absolutely not. But again, it's a fun exercise, and you just have to know going in that you're going to be wrong a lot of the time. But that's part of the fun. If we actually knew what was going to happen, it wouldn't be any fun whatsoever. Nobody would want to watch.
That's totally fair. The Vikings will be fun this year, I believe. They have 2 picks in the first round. Your next mock draft is about to come up. How do you see the Vikings playing the first round this upcoming draft?
Well, I think they have to find a quarterback, so one of those 2 picks is going to be at a quarterback, and the other one is going to have to be to bulk up the defense a little bit. And it really is going to depend on what kind of grades they have for the quarterbacks. They may not have that first-round grade on any of the guys that might be available at 11, so they may wait until that 23rd spot to get their quarterback and then get their elite defender later or earlier in the draft, kind of like they did when they picked Anthony Barr early in the draft, and then they traded up late in the first round for Teddy Bridgewater years ago. Could be a similar situation to that.
Very cool. So a lot of people, though, are saying they could even trade higher than 11. Maybe they don't sit back. What type of offer would it take for the Vikings to maybe go up to 4 or 5 and get one of the bigger named quarterbacks?
Well, obviously the 2 first-round picks would be part of the deal, but then they'd probably have to give up another pick this year and maybe a future pick as well, because there's some competition from the Broncos and others for if they get into the 4th spot with the Cardinals or the 5th spot with the Chargers. So they're gonna have to pay a pretty heavy price to go up and get one of those guys.
Yeah, heavy price indeed. Would that be something that you see this particular front office doing? And if so, why or why not?
I think they would. And I think you saw that they have the capability when they made that trade with the Texans, right? I mean, I think they know that if the player is worth the value, they'll use it. But I don't think this team is into overpaying. So I think they will be patient if they say, look, we love those guys, but we think that the next guy in line at quarterback could be a good starter for us as well. So why give up, why invest so many picks into the one player? So I think they're capable of doing it, or they might want to do it, but not at too high a price.
What's a name in this quarterback class that you could see fit within Kevin O'Connell's scheme, whether it be going up and paying the high price for them or sticking at 11 and figuring it out from there?
Well, I think they'd love to work with J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan. I really do. But I think they'd have to pay the price to go get him. And I think Bo Nix from Oregon he's pretty similar to Kirk Cousins, actually, both in his demeanor, in his size, his demeanor, his overall game. So I wouldn't shock me if they say, hey, we can get this guy at 11. Let's just do that. Or maybe even get him at, later in the first round if they don't think other teams have that high of a grade on him. So I really think they have a couple of great options available to them no matter what they do.
Any names in particular of value that you see fitting into this Vikings team?
Yeah, absolutely. They could be looking at Michigan Wolverines, who could have 17 guys drafted in this draft. They have a couple of edge rushers, Jalen Harrell and Brandon McGregor, and they would fit really well in their system. I think they'll be looking at them in day 3. On day 2, they could be looking at a guard out of BC, Christian Mahogany. It would be a great pick for them. He's a really strong athletic player. And a defensive tackle, a guy to watch out for if they use their first-round pick on him, is Johnny Newton out of Illinois.
Okay.
Undersized guy, but very, very active, very strong player. If they were to land him in the first round, I think that's an instant boost to their defense.
All right, well, there are so many questions left to be answered, but we will be able to see your next mock draft coming out very soon for all 5 rounds. What kind of, okay, you talked about the hours that go into this. How many hours go into making it all the way into the 5th round?
Well, it's a cumulative process because I've had to do a 3-round, a 4-round. So I've and it's really since January, I've really built this thing, and I go all the way to 7 rounds before the end of the draft.
Nice.
So it's a really cumulative process, but a fun one.
That's awesome. Well, you can catch his work at NFLnet.com. The NFL Media Draft Analyst, Chad Reuter, thank you so much for giving us some more of your insight, even though we know you are from Wisconsin. I had to throw it in there.
You're welcome. I appreciate the invitation.